Perfect. All right. Thank you very much. Well, good morning, everyone. How we doing? Good. Good. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come out on this Friday morning. It was a little chilly, but I think the sun is in our favor right now, so it feels nice and cozy. So thank you for coming out, whether you're here in person or tuning in via live stream. Hey. And thank you to the Friendly City Food Co-op for hosting our very first in-person Valley Treasure program. So thank you so much for hosting and providing the coffee and, the nice refreshments there. So thank you very much again for coming. My name is Maya Alexander, and I'm the Community Engagement Manager with Alliance for the Shenandoah Valley. So some of y'all may be familiar with our work or may know me already, but for some new friendly faces, nice to see you. And those who may not be familiar with the work of the Alliance, we are a nonprofit organization here in the Valley. We work to inform and engage people to protect the natural resources, cultural heritages, and the rural character that makes this area so unique. I think we know that the Valley is beautiful, and so it's great to protect what we know and love about it. And the Alliance, particularly, we believe that it's together, right, that we can work together to protect what we know and love about the Valley, whether that's preserving what is important to community members and growing in ways that is mindful to the extraordinary natural and cultural resources that make the Valley so special. So we do that through land use and transportation planning, connecting farmers to conservation programs, and even supporting initiatives like the Shenandoah Rail Trail. Our work varies throughout the 6 counties that we serve. And if you are not already connected to our work, I highly encourage you to sign up over there. We have a welcome table over by Aaron that you can tune into our emails. We promise we don't send out too many, but it's a nice way to stay informed on projects that we have in our service area. And I would like to shout out, sorry, the sun is like in my eyes and I don't have sunglasses. But I would like to shout out some of my colleagues that are here today. So if I shout your name, if you can just raise your hand so folks can get to know you. I know Kate Wofford is somewhere around here. There's Kate Wofford. She's our executive director. We've got Erin Birch, who's back there doing her communications thing. Thanks for getting the photos. Kim Woodwell. We got Caitlin Worsham. Thanks for tech today. And I know we have some board members here. We have Joan Cominor. We've got Ms. Carolyn Long. And we also have some Alliance supporters. I don't know. Have we seen Biv and Dolly? Are they, hey, Dolly, how you doing? Frazier, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. So yeah, those are the folks that support or either work at the Alliance. We're a small but mighty team, but we get things done. But today is not really about the Alliance. It's more so on the community members, right? That, again, I said, like, it's together that we can get the work done. So we want to acknowledge today the community members that have contributed so much to the Valley, what makes it so unique. And so the Valley Treasure Program is a way that we do that. We've done it for a few years in the past now. So we've, I think, honored 3 Valley Treasure awardees and 1 North Star. And this is just a way, again, to recognize that there are people in their own corner of the Valley that are doing their part, right, to make sure that we, protect what we know and love about the Valley. So that's what the Valley Treasure Program is. And shout out to the generous donors, or anonymous donors that help to keep that program going. And as well as the review committees that are volunteer folks that come together, to help select and review the nominations. So every year it varies, but the review committee stays consistent with its 2 board members of the Alliance, 1 Alliance staff member and 2 community members that come together and will review the nominations, and select whoever that year's award recipients are. So thanks to them. And again, the, funding support to keep that program going. And I also would like to take the time. I think it's important to really recognize why it's good to highlight community members. I know I've talked about it takes a village, right? We have to do this work together. We cannot do it alone. But I think also in a world where challenges and things seem very daunting and heavy, especially in light of the recent storms. I know the hurricanes that have affected some of our family members, neighbors, communities just south of us and beyond. It's definitely it's top of mind right now, and seeing, a lot of these things that seem so daunting, and, how can we even face these challenges? But what's heartwarming is when we see the communities come together, right? Whether it's helping to clean up efforts or donating materials, it's the community that steps up and helps to build a more resilient community. It makes those daunting challenges seem less daunting and more tangible. So whether you're helping to start a co-op or hoping to start an organization to protect the environment, it's really the community members that help to build that resiliency. And I'm very grateful that I work for an organization that acknowledges that and that we're able to celebrate and honor the folks that do their part. So it's very fitting, I think, today to honor the Friendly City Food Co-op as well as Sari Carp. So I will stop talking because it's been a while now, I feel. Not too long, but I would like to invite some different voices up here to talk more about the folks that we will be honoring here today. So I have up first Susie Martinez Carter, who was one of the founding team members for the co-op when it first began. And I would like her to come up to maybe share some history and like some, what makes the co-op so special. So I'll pass the mic to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Maya and the Alliance, for having us here today. I really love the opportunity to pause and mark a milestone and just to give thanks. It really keeps hope alive through the work when it's challenging, but also joyous. So I personally absolutely love a founding story because it takes something that today seems inevitable, the co-op, and it pulls back the veil and actually like walks us through the steps and the people and the struggle. And also the hope and the determination and the hundreds of people who contributed and connected to build, this thing that we have here together. And it also reminds us that like, hey, maybe we can do something crazy too. Because even though in these 13 short and long years, the co-op has become an institution in our community, for some, I think it's hard to imagine that it wasn't always here. But if you talk to the average community member, or even some of the founding team members, I'm not convinced they would have told you it would be here today. So around 2004, the Little Grill right down the street, they had a little meeting about their little store. So if anybody's been around long enough, there was this little hole-in-the-wall grocery front right tucked into the Roses parking lot where they had a little grocery store. That grocery store was not doing as well as it could. And so they were inviting and asking community members, hey, who will take this over? A couple of brave and curious souls, Ben Sandell, here today, Noel Levon, here, Laura Dent, I think somebody said the classical music DJ at WMRA was there as well. We can't quite remember his name. I'm so sorry. And a little bit of back of the napkin math. They realized that there really wasn't much to save from that store. But a group of people kept meeting, this time to start an actual food co-op. That was joined by Sam Nichols, who made the call to Ben to say, hey, you going to come join us? Jonathan Luntz-Trissel, Mary Jo Swartzendruper, and Phil Easley, yes, the flower lady at the farmer's market. They were part of that team too. And they formed the initial steering committee for what we now know as the co-op. So they found out and learned a lot. They met a lot of organizations, both here in the Valley, but then also outside nationally. Groups like Food Co-op 500 and CDS Consulting that actually started groups to start their own co-ops in their community. They offered grants, which the co-op didn't initially get, but they did get a really phenomenal consultant, Bill Gessner, who's no longer with us, but his legacy lives on here with us today. That meeting and 5,000 other meetings later, the founding team said that that's really when things started to take shape. Their consultant convinced the steering committee to hire part-time outreach coordinators, which they thought was crazy at the time because they were all volunteers, barely making any money. How are we possibly going to hire somebody else? But they did. They hired their first outreach coordinator, Adam Campbell. And then they hired Deb Breisel. And then they hired me, the last one, before the co-op opened. What they realized was that by hiring part-time staff, they injected energy and optimism into the organization at a really needed time where they otherwise would have burnt out. They also had a lot of fun. I learned that they had a party at the Hardesty Higgins house, which is now, my name, the blank, Heritage Bakery, thank you, where they had so much fun that the fire department actually had to come to close it down. The Steel Wheels was playing, they drew a huge crowd, and they actually raised 60 memberships, the first 60 memberships of the co-op at that party for $200 a piece. And they said, hey folks, we're doing something crazy, join us. And people actually gave them money. And they started to realize we really have something here. At that time, Eddie Bumbaugh and a group of other community members were starting up and creating their own vision, Harrisonburg Downtown Renaissance. Around that time, they were starting to think about how can we bring back life to our downtown core. And he was an early visionary. When everybody else said this was a crazy idea, Eddie said, this is a great idea, and really supported the team and built connections throughout the entire community, especially the business community with deep roots here in the Valley. So from kitchen tables to living rooms and Mennonite church small groups, Rotary clubs, JMU and EMU classes, and interns, so many interns. Each place that we'd go, at least one person would say, wow, these guys are lunatics, but I'm interested. And that one person would join and help out in one small way, connecting them to more members of their network and their community. The team, we went to national conferences and we got more strategic about fundraising and events and community organizing. And we connected with more and more farmers and more vendors and more people doing amazing, incredible things with food in our valley, healing the earth and healing each other, one connection at a time. Actually, the owner of the produce auction gave one of the initial $10,000 loans for the co-op. And now here we are buying a lot of dollar produce from the farmers of the auction. The group initially was determined to actually be in the Curtis Kite building downtown, which is Matchbox Realty right now. And when a consultant came to town and walked around and actually pointed to this building and said, no, this is going to be your building, the team thought that he was crazy. But funny enough, the owner of this building, the Driver family, they really liked that this group was just a little bit crazy. And they would sit around in his living room at a cart table drinking drinks and come up with plans together. And so when I had come on board, soon before the co-op opened, the capital came and stalled out. We needed to raise an additional about $300,000 or $400,000 through community memberships and member loans. But the campaign had plateaued and the team was growing a bit weary. And so we actually came together in the Clementine basement before it was Ruby's, and we had what Ben Sendell calls the come to Jesus talk. We looked at each other and said, are we actually doing this or not? Because if we're not, let's just say thank you and go home, give people back their money. And that was the moment where everybody said, call your wives, call your husbands, call your partners, call your kids, say, I'm not going to be around for a month. And everybody put their heads together and gave it their last big shot. And they did it. Together, we raised the money that we needed to sign the lease on the building, search for an incredible general manager that we still luckily have today. And I got the pleasure of working hand in hand with Steve Cook to help him hire the initial team that opened the co-op and saw it through its first year of operation. And so funny, when Maya called me, or Erin sent me an email to say, hey, will you come present this award? Initially my first thought was, what? Like, not me. I wasn't at that first table. But then I thought, well, who would it be? Who would that one person be? And I realized that building this wasn't about building it on the back of one person and then iconifying them. It was really built through the connections, one-on-one. And the strength of the co-op is between us. And that's really what makes the heart of this co-op so strong. And it makes me emotional because it reminds us that we can do this and gives us hope through some darkness. And so while founding stories are great, there's really just so many people who came along and thought that this crazy idea could be really good for our community. And they were right. The truth is that Steve and the broader co-op team are really what have made the co-op the treasure that it is. With such a deep and rich agricultural history in the Valley, which is enriched by the diverse foodways of all of the communities and people that have come to live here, the co-op has become a hub, and it's made our city so much more vibrant and connected than it would have been before. And so everybody eats. It's a language that we all share. And the co-op was started by making connections and building relationships, and today continues that work of healing and sharing and coming together and celebrating what good we have here. So with that, I would love to present.
You did it. You did it. All right.
Yeah. Yes, a few quick things. Thank you so much, Susie.
Yep, thank
I
you.
was officially going to present you with the award, though, but thank you so much, Susie. So, Steve, before I present this with you, Susie, thank you for those remarks. And yes, when I first met Susie, like, it was beautiful to hear that story. And really the power that the co-op has had, you know, within the community and the long-lasting impact. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of, you know, all the co-op co-owners, the leadership. I know it's, you know, you run a great team, and yeah, the effect, the long-lasting impact that you have had on the community here. So, Steve, I would like to officially present the co-op with this certificate here as Alliance for the Shenandoah Valley's 2024 Valley Treasure. And we will be, yep. And we will be providing a plaque. It's being made. Thank you for Rocktown Urban Wood and the market, but wanted to present you all with that lovely certificate there. So I'll go ahead and pass it on to you for any remarks, and I'll come back up.
All right. Thank you, Maya.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Maya. Wow, here we are in the midst of all the bounty of fall and pumpkins and apple cider donuts and all kinds of amazing things that the Valley has to offer. Got everybody's papers up here. And the booze kicks up. We thank you for this recognition of our co-op accomplishing what we have. Am I on? Am I on and everything? We thank you for this recognition of our co-op accomplishing what we have set out to do and raising the bar for our future endeavors. So many of the best of contests that magazines, newspapers, and radio stations conduct wind up as personality contests or gauges of how well your marketing can get people to vote multiple times for your business. This one really means something. We are in remarkable company and humbled to be the first business to receive this award. It just goes to show how much easier it is to make an impact in your community when you're owned by the people who live there. 3,000 owners plus strong and growing every day. We just launched a new website, and how many people signed up? Like about 4 or 6 people more have signed up since we launched the new website at the beginning of this week. Just after we opened in 2011, the board of directors and a few members of the management team, including myself, spent a weekend creating a document which defines how and why the world will be different because the co-op exists. There was a very lively debate, and lots of visionary ideas were offered up, debated, tossed around, and defended. Post-it notes with words like sustainable, local, organic, healthy, fair trade, friendly, connected, regenerative, affordable, and grass-fed were stuck up on walls and voted upon to prioritize what was important to this community-focused group. When the weekend was over, we had a draft document that ultimately became our end statement. Our end statement is that Friendly City Food Co-op exists so that the Shenandoah Valley has a vibrant local economy, fair and friendly relationships, healthy, informed consumers and producers, and a regenerative environment, healthy environment. This policy is more than a mission statement to us. It's the basis for all of our business planning and budgeting, and it guides our activities and operational decisions. You might have noticed that these end results nicely overlap with what some refer to as a triple bottom line. For it to be a truly sustainable business, you need to be financially successful in order to do good socially in your community and regenerate the environment to a better place than it was when you started. People talk about sustainability, and some of us aren't sure that we want to sustain the environment that we have that keeps degrading. We want to take it back to a better place and regenerate the earth the way that it was in the past and set back climate change. Nowadays, we're also working for equity and justice, building bridges to be more of a gathering place for our whole community. Standing here facing the Northeast neighborhood, looking at the old, the last Green Book hostel home that was here, now owned by Mayor Reed and her family, where our African-American citizens would come and had to stay because the hotels and other places weren't open to African Americans at that time. The fact that Mason Street is a boulevard is not an accident either, and you should look that up, but I'm not going to go down that road. We're building bridges to be more of a gathering place for our whole community. Innovations like our 99-cent local produce table around the corner. Mentioned the produce auction being a part of us starting up. We're now one of their largest customers. Snap Match program that we have, that 50% of purchases of fresh fruits and vegetables and frozen fruits and vegetables with SNAP are covered by leaf and grants that we get. So all of those purchases are reduced. And if you buy produce from the 99-cent local produce table, imagine what that does to your ability to buy local produce. We also have locally sourced deli hot bar offerings every day, as well as a more inclusive team, which has attracted new shoppers speaking many of the 90 languages spoken in our region today. The philosopher architect Buckminster Fuller said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." Those words ring completely true to me, and I've held them. It's actually part of my signature. If you get emails from me, that's usually something that you'll see at the bottom of my emails. I want to thank you all so much for this award. Those of you that nominated us for the award, we appreciate that. We are honored and appreciate the recognition that we receive each and every day, that we get to serve all of you and our whole community. Thank you.
Thank you. And this one. You're good. We got two certificates. Congrats, Steve. Cool. It's all good. Perfect. Thank you. And congrats, Friendly City Food Co-op. Again, we'll give them another round of applause. Yeah, I think that, it's important to acknowledge the power of a kitchen table. I really got that from Susie's remarks. And thank you, Steve, for sharing even more am I on still? No, what happened? Uh-oh. Now can you hear me? Okay, there we go. The light was red. That's not good. So yeah, the power of a kitchen table, and then how that then leads to this long-lasting impact. And so thank you again to all the co-owners, the co-op owners that help keep this co-op going. And I just wanted to acknowledge as well that the Friendly City Food Co-op's commitment to connecting people, as you've mentioned, to their local farmers and producers with an eye towards a vibrant economy, healthy communities, and environmental stewardship, right? These are key. It aligns perfectly with the alliances, the efforts that we do to protect agricultural land here in the Valley, to support the farmers and producers who steward it and the communities that benefit from these efforts. So that's why we think it's very fitting to honor Friendly City Food Co-op. So again, congrats to you all. Now we do have another part of our ceremony here where we would like to honor our North Star. And while it's important to acknowledge the folks who are with us, it's also good to acknowledge the folks that who are no longer with us, who have also contributed and dedicated most of their lives to conservation efforts. So we think that the North Star Award does just that. And this year, the Alliance would like to recognize Sari Carp as this year's North Star. Sari, the co-founder and first executive director of Sustainability Matters, was a passionate advocate for the health of our planet and worked tirelessly to make a difference. She believed deeply in inclusivity within conservation work and used positivity and fun in the community to inspire others to care for the environment. So I'd like to present this North Star to Sari and invite Kara Balcerzak, a dear friend of Sari, and a Sustainability Matters organizational strategist, to share a few words.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Maya and Kate and the rest of the Alliance staff and board members who chose to honor Sari with this award. So my name is Kara Balcerzak. I have worked with Sustainability Matters since 2020, and Sari was first a colleague and then became a good friend of mine. If she knew about this award, one more thing. I want to also acknowledge Amanda Sheets, who's here, who's one of our board members, and along with Sari and one other friend, founded Sustainability Matters and was also a dear friend of Sari's. So thank you, Amanda, for being here. If Sari could know about this award, I know she would be really honored, but she would want to change one thing, which is she would want Sustainability Matters to get the award, not herself. She really did not have an ego about herself personally. She cared passionately about the work of this organization. So I know she would be grateful that this is an opportunity to bring awareness to Sustainability Matters work. She left us way too soon. She was only 50 when she died last year after just 2 months that she had stage 4 cancer. So we miss her dearly. I want to tell you a little bit about her origin story. She actually grew up in Massachusetts, and then she had a career all over the world as a finance professor and researcher. And she was really unfulfilled by that. And so at around the age of 40, she gave up that career, moved to the Shenandoah Valley where she had no connections, and started her life over. And here she really found her true calling with working for the environment. And she told me that this was the happiest she had ever been in her life. Sustainability Matters really became her passion and her purpose. I don't know if she ever slept more than like 2 hours at a time. I would regularly get emails from her at 3 o'clock in the morning about, like new projects she wanted to start or grants she was working on. She was so passionate about this, and she was so charismatic, and she had such a thirst for knowledge. One example, I think early on when she was founding Sustainability Matters, she went to the State Arboretum and she saw somebody who had a State Arboretum t-shirt on. So she just went up to them like out on the trail and said, "Hey, can I ask you some questions?" And she ended up talking to them for over an hour. And that is how Jack Monstead, who's like one of the state's foremost experts on native plants, became a member of our technical advisory board. And he has devoted dozens of hours as a volunteer as one of our primary scientific advisors. And I think that story is Sari in a nutshell, because she could interrupt someone's life in the middle of their day, just like steal hours away from them that they hadn't been planning on giving her. And somehow at the end of that, they ended up loving her and wanting to volunteer their time for her. Like, I don't know anyone else who was capable of that. Or just her charisma and ability to inspire people was unlike nothing I'd ever seen. She could stand up and talk about the inner workings of a landfill, and it was mesmerizing. She could make anything interesting. So when we lost her last summer, in addition to personally losing my friend, I was really concerned about how Sustainability Matters would go on without her at the helm. I stepped in as the interim executive director for 5 months. And so one of the first things I did was start reaching out to our programming partners, letting them know, hey, we're still here. There's a team of us who work here, but Sari was such a figurehead. A lot of people, I had been hiding behind a computer doing grant writing, right? People didn't know that there was a team of us. And so I was a little nervous that some of our partners might not continue because Sari was such a force. But one by one, everyone I talked to laid those fears to rest. We were midway through. Sari had spent 2 years laying the groundwork to install a native meadow at Jim Burnett Park in Winchester, the flagship park in Winchester. And we went to a meeting with the Parks Department. And not only did they want to continue the project, but they said, "Oh, this is our number one priority for the year. This is our number one priority in our annual plan." So we're just eager to get back on it. Sari had dreamed up this project called Making Trash Bloom, which reclaims sort of otherwise dead land at landfills and plants native meadows there to restore the habitat, provide habitat for native creatures. We have 3 different counties we partner with that project, and I went and spoke with the Rappahannock County Administrator, where we have one of our Making Trash Bloom sites. We have a really small test plot at their landfill, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's going great. I want to cover the whole landfill with native meadows. Let's do it." And then another example, the final example I'll give: when Sari died, we were midway through our first pilot year with a program called Ecologicals, where we teach environmental science to teen girls in Fairfax County. And the goal there is both to reduce the gender gap in the sciences and also provide academic enrichment opportunities to underserved youth who might not otherwise have them. And again, Sari had dreamed up that program. She'd approached Fairfax County. And so we went into this meeting to debrief the summer, and they said, we had been in 2 community centers that summer. They said, "This program was so great. We want to be in 14 next summer." And I was like, okay, I have too much work to do. This is the opposite. And I just think that's how someone has really made a difference. Sari dreamed big, and everybody that she interacted with, they took ownership of these projects that sometimes they came up with together. Sometimes Sari had a crazy idea, like planting wildflowers on piles of trash, but the community took ownership of that. And I think that that's really a testament to how her legacy is going to continue. Today we have a new permanent executive director, Andrea McJimsey, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but she's really committed to continuing the project Sari started and building new projects based on the foundation that Sari created for our organization. This summer, our executive director was actually invited to the White House to participate in an environmental justice conference, which really just made me so happy, because I felt like this is like the pinnacle of this organization that Sari created has continued to grow and be recognized and at a national level. And I know that Sari would have just loved that. I want to say one thing too about Friendly City Food Co-op. It feels so poetic and fitting that Sari is being honored alongside them and here, because Friendly City has been a partner of Sustainability Matters since before I came on board. You all probably know more about that history than I do, but actually this space right here, I can picture Sari running around here, because we held many events in this space, plant swaps, educational events, and Friendly City also, Sari liked to say that they were the official culinary sponsor of Making Trash Bloom. So Sari decided we would have parties at landfills, because who doesn't want to have brunch in front of a trash pile? So Friendly City would come out, they would cater it all for free. They provided all of that as a service to our organization in the community. And Sari always liked to say that probably your staff are the only people who've ever spelled out the words waste management in asparagus spears. So just in closing, I'm just so grateful that Sari was in my life as a coworker and as a friend. I feel like she demonstrated that the environmental movement could be a really fun space where we're working together with positivity and joy to protect our planet. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom. She really made it welcoming of everyone, and she also really showed that benefiting the environment could benefit all of us personally. And also personally, just knowing her story, I feel like she's a model about how you can, in the middle of your life, totally upend your life to pursue your most cherished values and make a difference and find peace and joy doing that. So just on behalf of Sari and Sustainability Matters, I want to thank you for recognizing her contributions to our community.
Thank you, Kara. And yes, thank you for those words. And we'd like to honor, on behalf of Sari, with a certificate for being our North Star. So thank you. Yes, thank you, Kara, for those words. I think it's also healing for us when folks who have moved on and they're no longer with us to still say their names and to remember their legacy that they've left. And I'm sad to say I've never actually met Sari in person, but just to hear like the impact that she's had on the communities and still see the legacy continued, it means a lot. And I'm very grateful that we can, I'm very grateful for her dedication, right? The contributions you just shared that she put out during her life. And I'm very grateful that the Alliance can honor her as the North Star this year. So, yes, thank you. And that basically concludes our program here today. I know it wasn't very long, but again, thank you so much for dedicating the time to come out and just recognize the Friendly City Food Co-op as well as Sari Carp. It's important to make sure that we lift our community members up just as they lifted us up. So with that, I just want to let y'all have your Fridays back. There is another opportunity to continue the celebration, and I'm going to invite Mackenzie Jenkins, who also works at the food co-op here, to share how you can tune in to continue the celebration here.
Thank you. I'm Mackenzie Jenkins. I'm the current marketing and events manager here. I just want to say thank you for all of you for coming and for anyone who tuned in. We're so honored to receive this award, especially to receive it with Sari as the North Star. We're going to continue the community fund tomorrow. We're having our community harvest party right here in the parking lot. The entire parking lot, for the most part, will be shut down. We'll have a little avenue where you can drive through. But we're going to have lots of fun events, bounce house, petting zoo, food trucks, local organizations. The Alliance will be there. Other local organizations will be here, face painting, all sorts of fun for kids and adults. So come out between 1 and 5 tomorrow for that. And if you're a co-op owner, we're also having our annual owner gathering tomorrow from 12 to 1. And that'll be right here on the patio with delicious food from our deli and then information about our last year and what lies in the future. So join us again tomorrow, and thank you again for coming out today. We really appreciate it, and we're incredibly honored to have received this award. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And so yeah, I won't hold y'all here, but I do encourage you to get some coffee and some lovely donuts over here. Please help yourself. And we do have a token of appreciation as we celebrate Friendly City Food Co-op. We do have some local honey from Hot Apiary, little jars over there that you can take one as a token of appreciation on your way out. But yeah, with that, thank you so much for coming, and yeah, hang out for a little bit. Thank you.